So today I want to share with you guys the things that I learned in 2022. There are 5, maybe 6 main lessons that I learned from this last year. I want to share them with you here today on the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, because I believe our growth comes through the lessons and the obstacles. And let me tell you, I had plenty of them in 2022 with you. Now, if you are just joining me here on the YouTube channel, hello. I'm new actually here to YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, you guys have been with me for a while, but you know that the podcast has had a new upgraded evolution. It's now the How It's Really Going podcast, and the YouTube channel is the same, How It's Really Going with Shayna Recker. And I'm excited to be able to share with you guys on both these platforms. This is just me turning on my mic. This is my mic with its little fuzzy case, telling you like it is, just telling you how it's really going. So let's dive in. So the first thing is to listen to your nudges. Now, each one of these lessons I'm going to share with you guys has a little story to go with it. And this was at the end of 2021. I was in the shower and I remember thinking like, what can I do this year to kind of kick off the 2022 year with a bang? Like, how can I, whether it's welcome in some new clients or create a new program. Like I remember just kind of being in that creative thinking of like, what can I do to move my business forward this year? And I was in the shower, and I don't know about you guys, but my best ideas typically come in the shower. I keep saying I need to find some sort of waterproof notepad that I can put in my shower, because I honestly believe that my best ideas just come there. I don't know if it's because it's quiet, because I'm not distracted by anything, but I remember getting the idea to put out an email to offer one-year coaching contract to my audience, to my email list. I got the idea, it kind of downloaded in. I was getting ready in the morning. I was thinking about the details. I remember, I don't know if you guys do this, but I Voxer myself if I have ideas so that I don't forget them. So I was Voxering myself all the ideas and kind of what I was thinking price point wise. So I put the email together. I decided on a price point. At that time, it was 15,000 US to work with me for the year. Whoever took this one spot would have access to me basically for the full year. So I put it out there. And I actually ended up getting 2 clients who took advantage of that. Even though I only said I had one spot, I had 2 clients. One was actually both of them had already been clients of mine. I love them both. So I allowed 2 spaces, and that was actually it was actually more than that, but it was obviously a $30,000 month. And then I had some other sales come in for some other things, but that nudge, I listened to that nudge, and that turned into me having these 2 amazing clients for the course of 2022. I share that story because those nudges that we get when we're in the shower or we're on our walks, or usually they come to me, the ones that I know are like the ones, or where I'm not overthinking it. Like, even though I was kind of thinking of ways that I could boost 2022, I was in the shower, like I was washing my hair, I was doing all the things. I was just kind of loosely, I guess you could say, loosely thinking about how I could, create an impact, a bigger impact this year. And that idea came in. And I could feel the excitement around it, which was part of the reason I knew it was something I needed to act on. And something that I've not been afraid to do in my career as an entrepreneur is take action on things. It's like sometimes I do need to give myself some space and time before I act, and other times I just act. I just acted on this one. I typed up the email that morning, and within a day or 2, I had someone reach out and say that they were interested, and then I had another client message and said that she was interested, and it all kind of unfolded. And so you've got to listen to those nudges, but you've got to listen to them, but you also need to give yourself space for them to come in. So that space might look like going for a walk in the middle of the day if you can, or just anytime, listening to what comes into your head when you're either in the shower or meditating, or maybe when you're working out. I often also find that when I'm working out, I get ideas. I get things that come through when I'm in that sort of energetic, high energy space. But it's learning to listen to those nudges and then act on those nudges. And then, sometimes they're going to work out and it's going to be amazing, like it did for me. And sometimes not so much, but you have to know that even in the nudges, when you act on them and they don't work out, in the not working outness of them, there's a lesson for you. So there was still something you needed to learn, even though it maybe didn't go as planned. That absolutely is something that I am taking more time to do, things like meditation, walks, downtime, so that I can make space for those ideas to come through. The second lesson for 2022 that I learned was about listening to your client. This story, at the end of 2021, I had created a brand new program. It was called the Quantum Accelerator. It was for new online coaches who wanted to build their online business. And I created this massive comprehensive program that really just basically taught new coaches everything they needed to know, from starting their business through, running masterclasses, selling their programs, doing sales calls, like, you name it. Like, it had how to build your website, your branding. Like, it had everything inside of one program. I was super proud of it. I spent a lot of time and effort into that program. I released it as a beta, had a few clients join at the beginning of the year. I had a couple more clients join that program. It meant that I was on the right track. I was doing the right things. People needed what I was sharing. But what started to happen was these new coaches who were coming into my space started to feel overwhelmed, started to feel like there was a lot. There was I had, 6 or 7 sections within the program, and each section had their own videos and different things they needed to learn. The feedback that I was getting from some of the clients was there was a lot. And I even had one client who had come into the program. The second month of her being in the program, she reached out to me and said, I think this program isn't for me. I just don't think, she actually didn't think that she even wanted to be a coach. We had a couple conversations, and of course, my clients sign contracts and things, but I'm never going to hold somebody to something that if they absolutely don't think it's a fit for them. Of course, we had the conversation, and it wasn't for her. So I released her from the contract and she left the program. And as much as that sucked, I'm not going to lie, that sucked. It got me thinking, because I had another client who had come in as a brand new coach, hadn't even finished her coaching certification yet, and was feeling that overwhelming as well, and wanted to put her account on pause while she, finished some things in her coaching certificate. What I was hearing from my clients and that time was that what I had created was too much. It was overwhelming. That's not what I wanted. Sometimes it's hard to know these things. Sometimes it's hard to know, if what we want and what we think, because here's the thing. I've been a coach for 6 years. I know all the things that I need to teach someone in order to make a 6-figure beyond business, right? Like, I know what I've done. We're tempted to take everything we know and put it into our products because that's what we needed, and that's what we want to teach. And what I was hearing from my clients was it was too many things. And what happened is I ended up pausing selling the program, because I needed to reassess it and go, what do I need to change? Because, I was listening to my clients. I was listening to the feedback. Whether they were giving me the feedback intentionally or not, I was still seeing and hearing it. That was a big lesson to me, because sometimes we think we know what we need. And we do know, as coaches, we know what we need to teach our clients, but does everything need to be there right all up front? And I think that was the big thing for me. It was I had put everything into it all up front because I felt like I needed to have everything in there in order for it to be worth the price or worthy of people paying me. And I think as coaches, we can often get tripped up in that, where we feel like we have to, in order to charge X dollars, we need to jam it full of every single thing we know in order to make it worth it. That's not true at all. The value of what we teach, that's another whole podcast in itself. But what I realized in this process was that I needed to scale back what I was teaching and give the new coaches just the basics of what they need to get started, so that they don't get overwhelmed. Because what happens is when new coaches get overwhelmed, they don't do anything. They get stuck. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to keep you moving. So that really taught me a lot of things. So that was number 2, is to really listen to your clients, the feedback they're giving you, whether it's consciously or, even just through their actions and through what's going on. Like, there's lots to learn from just, observing your clients, listening to what they're saying. And then if they flat out give you feedback, don't just ignore it because you're the coach and they're the client. Oftentimes there's things in there for us to learn as the coach. The third thing that I learned, and this actually is what helped me revamp my program, is that networking with others and being in group coaching programs is so, so valuable, even for you as the coach. So when I was in that space of realizing that my program was definitely a bit too much. And I needed to do something. I was actually in my own group coaching program at that time. I was working with somebody I met. I actually wasn't working with her, but we were in the same program. We had started having conversations because she was doing something similar. And she was like, we should get on a call. We should talk about ideas and stuff like that. And I was like, absolutely. Like, let's do that. And so in my conversation with her was where she and I was telling her about, my clients are feeling a bit overwhelmed. I'm not sure what to do. And she was the one who gave me the idea to extract part of my program and market that for new coaches. That was really valuable to me because it literally created my newest signature program, which is the Client Attractor. So that conversation with that woman literally changed everything in my business. And I wouldn't have had that conversation if if I weren't in that group program, if I weren't networking with the other women in that program, if I wasn't being intentional with, having relationships with people in the industry to be able to talk about some of these things. It's super valuable to network with other people, whether that's you joining a group coaching program, joining a meetup, maybe creating your own meetup. Whether it's virtually or in person with other like-minded entrepreneurs, to be able to have those kinds of conversations. I have some of my best business besties are from group coaching programs that I've been in. Networking with like-minded people like that is literally a game changer. And I actually, not only do I know that because I engage in networking opportunities like that for myself, I join group coaching programs and stuff, but I see it within my clients inside my group coaching program for the new coaches. Like they start networking with each other and having conversations with each other inside the program and learning from each other. Like when we're in our group calls, I'm not the only one who's talking all the time, right? Like they're even supporting each other on the calls. And it's such an amazing thing. And that's where some of the best ideas and some of the best friendships and some of the best conversations happen in those group programs. So networking with others is something that I definitely want to make a priority for myself in 2023 because I saw what that did for me in 2022. And it doesn't always mean you need to have a financial, like you have to join a group coaching program, although I will say that's probably the best way to network and get coaching and things. Finding like-minded people, creating relationships, reaching out, asking how you can support each other, even having Zoom calls or, inviting people onto your podcast if you have one and vice versa, just to have conversations and learn from each other. So the other thing that I learned, this one is super powerful and I have to share this one. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to unfold this one, but it was probably the biggest thing that I learned in 2022. And it was also the hardest thing that I had to go through in 2022. And that was committing to your business. The story that I have with this one, I've had a really interesting time in my business. It's funny. I actually went through my numbers over the last few years because I was like, I'm a six-figure coach and I get my tax returns every year. And so I'm like, I see how much, I'm earning through my business. I just was like, I don't know why, but I was like questioning how much I'd actually made over the last few years, because the thing is as an online coach, I don't know about you, but for me, my business isn't at this point in my time, my business isn't making consistent, even, months. It's just not the way that it is. I've been kind of up and down. For me, that's actually been, and so I've made six figures, but it's not been an even six figures. And that has been a really difficult thing for me to work through, because when times are good and you've had those big income months, it's great. But when there's low income months, it feels like garbage. It feels like shit when no one's buying and you're like, why? Why is no one buying this right now? And I mean, there's a million and one reasons as to why people don't buy. Could be your marketing, could be your messaging, could be the fucking algorithms, it could be the season, it could be like a bazillion and one reasons as to why. Of course, you want to do the work and look into that and get what could be better and that kind of stuff for sure. But here's my message, or here's what I learned, because I had some of those dips, especially in the summer leading into the fall. It was a really tough time for me. And I don't know why. I know there was a lot of things going on in my life at that point. Definitely started perimenopause, which I'm going to talk about in a second, ADHD, my diagnosis for that, or starting medications for that. And there was I had a lot of layers, let's just say. In that time, things in my business weren't going that great. I don't know why. I can't remember. I think that's maybe when I was switching programs and I was doing that, taking the big program and making it into a smaller program. I don't know. There was like some sort of crazy void happening in my business at that time. But I remember feeling like maybe this isn't for me. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that as an entrepreneur or as a coach. And I'm going to guess that you probably have. And I have. I've had this in my business multiple times because it hasn't been consistent. I haven't had a consistent, even income. It's always kind of had like its ups and its downs, just how it's really going. I had this moment where I was actually offered a job opportunity. A friend of mine, long story short, a friend of mine, works for a great company in the US. He came to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in potentially taking a job? There's this position. I think you'd be great for it. I would give you a referral. It pays around 6 figures. Would you be interested in that?" And at first I was like, hell no, I have a business. Why would I do that? I can't do that. I have this business. But to be honest, what started happening is like the gremlins started talking really loud in my head, our ego voice, the scared ego voice who started to tell me, maybe I should do this. That would be consistent income, Shane. You would get benefits. You could, you would release the pressure, like all of these things, right? I actually applied for the job. I had my first interview. I didn't get the job. And I'm only saying this because my ego really wants me to tell you why I didn't get the job. It had nothing to do with my qualifications. It had to do with the fact that I'm a Canadian and I don't have I went to college. So I have a diploma. I have a graphic design diploma. I don't have a degree in anything because I went to college. In the US, in US companies, with this particular company, you have to have a degree in something. It doesn't even matter what it is. If you don't have a degree, you can't work for them. I don't have a degree. So there's that. But anyways, not getting that job, at first it felt like a bit of a blow because I was like, I thought I was a shoe-in and I thought this was going to fix everything for my life, right? No more dips, no more ups and downs. I can still have a few coaching clients and then I can work this job because it was completely remote. I would be working from home, but I didn't get the job. And I remember getting that message and feeling like a bag of garbage. I went for a walk. I was upset. I didn't cry. I wasn't like sad. I just was like frustrated. I actually noted the fact that I didn't cry. I wasn't emotional about it. And I think it's because my inner knowing knew that that job was never meant for me, that I was not meant to go down that path. It felt like a good idea because it felt safe. And I'm not against people taking jobs. If, I honestly believe you need to do what you need to do as an entrepreneur. And that might mean having a job while you're building your business. No, I have no qualms about that. I'm all for that. But for me, my inner being knew that wasn't the right move. And that's why I believe I wasn't sad about it, but I was upset. I was like pissed off, I think, more than anything. And I felt like there was an opportunity there for me to gain some safety, kind of get my footings, figure out what I wanted to do. And I know I didn't get it because I am meant to do what I am doing right now. And I am meant to be in my coaching business full time, full out. This is where I'm meant to be. This brings me to the lesson of this whole story. And that is, you must, in order for you to create the results that you want to create in your life and in your business, if you've got big dreams like I do, I have big dreams for my coaching business. And in the dips, if we quit in the dips, and this is what I was mentally doing, is quitting in the dips in my business. In my mind, I was like, things aren't working. Why isn't this working? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And I was constantly quitting on myself. So good months, I wasn't, everything was great. Bad months, I was like questioning myself. What am I doing? And that is not a commitment to your business. That is not being committed to your business. And I have learned through coaches and mentors that I've worked with and just my own experience in this space of the only way you are going to get where you want to go in your business is if you are fully committed to the process of creating the results that you desire, even when shit's not working out, even when the results that are currently happening around you are crap, that you have to stay committed and be in the energy of, I'm doing this no matter what. And that's it. Like, I'm doing this no matter what, even when these dips happen. It doesn't mean you can't take a job if you need to, or do whatever you need to do to pay the bills, but you're still doing it no matter what. And for me, that job in my mind was, I will take the job, I will have the security, And then, we'll see what happens with the business. That wasn't being committed to my business at all. That was me trying to take a road that was safe, that felt safe. For me, I have a deep, deep thing. It's like a subconscious fear around safety and money. It's been with me since childhood. It's like a deep rooted thing I've been working on for a very long time. And this was just another example of it coming into my world and me being almost taken out of the game by the illusion of safety. Because really there is nothing safe. Like there's no job that's like safe, right? Like you could be fired at any time. Like, you know what I mean? This was a huge lesson for me. And what ended up happening was I didn't get the job. I ended up actually taking a training. My coach, her name's Stephanie Houston, and I took a training with her. It was called the something trifecta. Anyways, it was all about being committed to your business. And it's not a coincidence that that training was sitting there waiting for me right after this event with this job. I jumped into that training. It was exactly what I needed to hear. And it was like, oh my God, Shayna, you keep quitting on yourself. You wonder why you're in a roller coaster and why some months are really great and some months aren't so great. It's because your commitment is like a roller coaster. I mean, I'm just being honest with you guys. It's not always easy to share these parts of the thing. I mean, what we see on Instagram and all these things, like there are shitty sides that happen in people's businesses. And this happens to be one of mine. And I share it because I know I'm not alone. I want you to learn what I'm learning because this has been probably the biggest thing that's helped me in 2022, which was recommitting to my business. And that's when I wrote a declaration for myself. I actually posted it on Instagram because I wanted to make it public, to be like, I am determined and I am committed to making this work, even in the dips. And that's not easy. Like that's not easy work. I actually just did a post about it today, about the dips, about the success isn't built in the high, that my success isn't being built in the months where I have 2 clients who decide to, pay me 15 grand each and work with me for a year. Sure, that's great. I love that. But success isn't built in those moments. Success is built when you do things in the times where you feel afraid, where things aren't working, where you're having to push yourself, where you're having to recommit, even when results aren't working out in front of your face. And you're like, what's going on? But I'm still committed. I'm going to still keep going, even when no one signs up. Like that's where success is built. When you take action on the scary things, those ideas that pop into your head in the shower and you take action on them. That's where the success is when it's in the dips. It's not in the high points. The high points are the rewards for continuing to keep going in the dips. And that's one of the biggest things that I had learned was that who are you being in between the highs? Who are you being in the lows? Are you still leading yourself? Are you still taking action? Are you still trying to keep your head on straight? Are you still looking forward? Are you still moving towards the goal? Like I was doing was like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should find something else. Maybe I should do something else. I don't know. Feeling sorry for myself. Now, everybody has their things and everybody's got to do what's right for them. But here's what I'm just asking you to question yourself. Is that really what you want? Is quitting really what you want? The question you ask yourself is that if your business was making $1 million consistently every year or whatever the number is for you, would you still want to do the business? Like, and to me, the answer is 100% yes. Like if I could have, if my months were consistently, I had sales coming in, I had clients, my programs were full and everything. Yes, of course, I want to do this. This is what I love to do. I love helping people when I have people to help, right? Your answer to that question was no. If my business was successful, I still don't want to do this. Yeah, maybe you need to rethink what you're doing. But if the answer is yes, then you just you have to keep going. And so I did. I declared I'm moving forward. I revamped the program. I've made my Client Attractor now my signature program. It is smaller. It's easier for new coaches to get in and get what they need to do to build that foundation for their business. I have been just full on with that. I've been doing some other things, but I just keep moving. I just keep moving. And sure, there's still dips. There's still good months and there's still dips. There's going to always be that in any business. There's going to be dips, maybe not always financial dips, but there's going to be dips in some way, shape, or form. And so our job is to know that those dips are always going to be there and to be able to be the person who can move through them no matter what. And that's what I've committed to. Lesson number 5, which is for me, and this is going to tie into the last one, but just wait for it. Perimenopause and ADHD are freaking real. The struggles that go with them are real. Okay. And I do believe that more so the perimenopause, that was also playing a role in a lot of those things that I was thinking and feeling during the times where things were all over the place. Mood swings for me, big time mood swings, emotional irregularity. I just started to feel like I was all over the place, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't having hot flashes. I wasn't having night sweats or anything like that. I was just emotionally, I was like a zombie almost. Like I just was weird. I just felt like I wasn't myself. So that led me to go to the doctors. The doctor gave me some medication, and that helped. That definitely helped kind of even me out a little bit and be able to see really clearly, a little bit more clearly, and not to have such crazy mood swings. So it definitely helped, but it's not a cure. It wasn't curing everything. Like there was still a lot of those residual kind of feelings and sort of weird cycles that I was having where I was fine for a few weeks and then I was angry and miserable for a few weeks, but maybe a little less angry and miserable because I was on some meds. I don't know. Definitely learning how perimenopause affects us as female entrepreneurs. It's fucking real. It's not a joke. I know that it is playing a role in my way of being right now and in the decisions that I'm making and in how I'm feeling about things. So I'm very cautious about taking actions from an emotional place, because if I'm not having a good day, it's not a good day for me to do anything. So what I've been noticing even with myself is some days you'll see me on Instagram and I'm on there like on my stories and I'm doing my things and I'm sharing, I'm talking and I'm doing all the things. And then other days you might not see me at all. And that might be because I'm not having a good day and I'm not feeling good. And I don't want to say anything or do anything that I might regret. Right? Because that's the thing. The emotion it's so heavy. And that's just the best way to describe it. I want to say to all the women out there who are in that perimenopausal place, who are entrepreneurs trying to run their businesses, I feel you, and it's real, and it is a struggle, and it does impact us and our businesses. I don't care what anyone says, unless you're going through it yourself and like you can't know what this feels like until you're actually in it. It's definitely a struggle. Ask my husband. He's been struggling alongside me this whole time. And then on top of that, realizing I have ADHD. Now, here's the thing. A lot of perimenopausal women will have, if they have ADHD and maybe didn't know it, perimenopause often heightens ADHD symptoms. And that's because our estrogen levels drop in perimenopause. Estrogen is responsible for dopamine and serotonin. ADHD is also a lot. When you have ADHD, it's because you lack dopamine and serotonin. So when your estrogen drops and you have ADHD, the lack of dopamine and serotonin is like way down, which heightens all of the ADHD symptoms. And that's why, from my understanding, why a lot of women at around the age of, mid 40s discover they have ADHD. And it's because the perimenopause is just like the estrogen levels have sunk so low. That's exactly what happened to me. So not only am I dealing with the perimenopause, I'm also now connecting dots to things that I have been doing and ways that I have been. And a lot of unfortunately, the negative impacts of ADHD, I've now been able to connect those dots to things in my life and my business. And that's been really hard. It's been like, when they say you find out that you have ADHD and you start connecting those dots, there's some grief that pops into the picture here, because you start to realize, like, if I had known this sooner, if I had been able to get medication or help with this sooner, I might not have dealt with, like, I have a lot of things I look back in my business, financial things, making decisions to join things, spend money. Like there's all kinds of stuff that I've done that I've now connected dots back to ADHD. And I'm just like, fuck, if I had known and I had been able to manage it, I might not have gotten myself into some of these predicaments that I find myself in, or that I have been trying to get myself out of even for a while now. And that's been really hard. You don't know what you don't know. And then as I've started to learn and understand and research and get to know me again, and so I'm kind of like getting to know myself all over again and understand who I am. And I'm testing medications, some of it not going so well. Some of it is okay. I'm still not 100% on anything yet. I'm working with my doctor, working with a naturopath, trying to find a balance. And that has been a struggle. But the lesson is that it's real. And no matter what anybody says, it's real. It is difficult. It is another layer that adds to everything that you're doing as a business owner. I feel for you if you are in that space. I'm working through it myself right now. The only advice that I have is to get support, talk to your doctor. And if you do want to talk to a naturopath, talk to a naturopath, get support and get some help. And that's not always easy. I'm not somebody who likes to ask for help. I even hesitate to quote unquote, bug my doctor because I've already had 3 calls and 3 appointments with him. And I don't want to, it's like, that's the kind of shit that goes on in my head. And it's like, no, fucking call the doctor. If you want more, you want to try something different, or you want to have a conversation, that's what they're there for. That's what they get paid for. Call the damn doctor. Right. And so I'm like, that's even difficult for me. So it's crazy. And it's also, it spills into your relationships. Like my husband and I have had to work through this, and my kids and I, and like all this stuff. So it is real. It is hard. Get some help, have conversations, find people that you can connect to talk about these things. I've been a part of an online Facebook group that's perimenopausal ADHD entrepreneurs. And it's actually been really helpful for me to be in that group because I've learned a lot about what's normal, what's not normal, or what is normal at the end of the day anyways. But just like when you realize you're not alone. So, and I'll put the link to that group in the show notes, because if you are somebody who's looking for some kind of support like that, I've been finding this group really helpful. And the last thing I'm going to share about 2022, go with the flow. That's really, at the end of the day, after all of these things, all of this stuff, jobs, big high months, low months, perimenopause, all the things, is that we really just have to let go. We have to let go, and we have to just allow the universe to sort of move with us. And I don't mean let go. I mean, like, completely step back and do nothing. Obviously we have to take actions. We have to move forward. We've got to do, that's how we create results, is through our actions. But to not let anything completely wipe us out or take us out, like move with it, feel it, flow with it, see what's going on. Like just let it be flowy. Be the feather. When you think of a feather, it just kind of like, it goes up, it goes down, it kind of floats around, it sort of moves. It's not, forcing anything. It's not trying to make anything happen. It's just moving. That's probably been one of the best statements that I actually have it as my screensaver on my computer. It just says, be the feather. And it's just a reminder to just be light and not to let any of these things completely wipe us out. Our satisfaction and our happiness comes from inside, and we create that. There's no thing, there's no amount of money, there's no person, there's nothing external from us that creates our happiness. It gets created by us. I read a book in this year called The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. It's an excellent book if you want to read it. And he talks about being able to be, he goes, if you can be sitting on a park bench with nothing, no money, no nothing, it's just you, and look around and find something to be grateful for and feel satisfied, with nothing, like that's true happiness. Like you've won the game when you can have nothing and still be grateful for your life. And I think about that a lot. I used to be somebody who felt like I needed to have the purse and the handbag and the shoes, and like had to be all the things in order to be successful. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit about that stuff anymore. My peace of mind and my internal happiness is what matters. It's not going to come from a thing. It's not going to come from a payment. It's not going to come from, someone signing up for your course. Those things are great. We want those things to happen. But my internal happiness comes from me. I can have none of those things and still sit and be happy and still be grateful for my life. Still look around at the things that I do have in my life, my family, my health, and be happy. And I know that sounds like, oh, I've got my health, I'm happy, whatever. It's true. Without it, we have nothing. And so it's like just being able to be satisfied in this moment right now, not thinking about the future, not worrying about the future or thinking about past mistakes or anything like that stuff. Now, we have now, and we need to be happy and satisfied. Not even happy, because sometimes we're not happy. Like some days I'm not happy, but I'm grateful. I'm alive, and I'm okay with that. Like I can just be that. In some days, just like that's being the feather. Some days you're kind of up and some days you're kind of down and some days you're just kind of flowing and you're not making it mean anything. And so there you have it. That's sort of a recap of my 2022 and the biggest lessons that I've learned past year. And for 2023, to be honest, my mission for 2023 is to really just help as many women as I can start their new online coaching businesses, being able to help somebody create a business and to be able to sign their first client and to feel that feeling and to be able to help somebody, use their voice to make an impact in this world. That's why I'm here, to help as many women as I can do it. So if that's you and you want to learn more about how I support women in the coaching industry, you can go to shanarecker.com. You can find me on Instagram. I am Shana Recker. Happy to chat about the different ways that I do support clients in that capacity. And cheers to being the feather this year and letting things be flowy and light, but still continuing to take action and do the things, but not making anything really mean anything, and just staying motivated to do the things that we want to do in this life and having fun. So that's it for me, everyone. Super excited. This podcast and this YouTube channel, this is new for 2023, and I am excited to see where this goes. I have no idea. I'm just going to be the feather with all of this. I'm going to show up here as often as I have something to share. All right, we'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.